story about the new economy, and I realized there were many paradigm shifts hanging around there. Too many, maybe.
Yeah.
So I decided to just write them all down. So this is a presentation called The New Economy and 30 Paradigm Shifts. With new economy, I mean the sharing economy, but some people call it the unconditional gifting. So.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Oh, okay, it's good. Yeah, okay, my name is Jeroen van Belen, Jerome. And you can find me at godsforroses.org.
Okay, we'll write that down.
Yeah, that's good. It's not on here.
That's okay. We're not going to worry about that now.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt your flow.
No, it's okay.
Carry on.
Okay, so when we want to figure out what this new economy looks like, many people take this approach. They start from the problems that we have. We have a crisis in this world. And I suggest that we could also take the possibilities as an approach. Because something is happening to our consciousness right now. Consciousness is evolving. And from there, many things can happen. Okay, so the main question is, what does the new economy look like? It should be sustainable, it should work for all. And the first shift that I want to share is that I want to split that question into two questions. Namely, what does utopia look like? And how can we adapt this utopia to humans? The point is that many people try and answer both questions with one answer. And that blurs the discussion. Okay, so we will take this approach that we start from possibilities and that we ask two questions. What does utopia look like and how can we adapt utopia to humans? So we first start with what is utopia. So the rest of the presentation is about utopia. I'm not going to talk about how we adapt as humans. I mean, that you can think of yourself. But think of utopia, that's difficult. So the main paradigm shift that I want to add here is that I add the dimension of consciousness to economic modeling. Current economic models don't have this dimension. Well, at least not the standard models. I'm not an economist, I'm a mathematician, so maybe there are some people that have done this before. I haven't seen it. In order to do that, I use this framework. So for me, economy is about the resources of our planet and the labor that we use to transform them. We don't do that at random, we've got some goals that we want to achieve. Now for me, economy is about the process that we as a society have to translate our goals into a planning. How do we, in what order do we do what things to achieve what kind of things? And in this translation you basically answer two questions. Namely, who does what and who takes what? And that's also like the quintessence of the adding of this dimension of consciousness. Namely, if you are like self-conscious, so this is the, okay, I'll come back to that later. So the central shift is consciousness implies behavior, implies system. Something's going wrong with our system, that's obvious. Many people now say, okay, we have to change our systems. And my statement is, that's not going to work, you have to change, we start here with consciousness. Because if the consciousness changes, then the behavior changes, then automatically the system will change as well. As a corollary to this one, like many people think that our behavior is induced by the scarcity of our planet. But the reality is that's the other way around. The scarcity on our planet is a result of our behavior. Okay. Right. So now we come to this consciousness thing. And my statement is that what I observe is that our consciousness is evolving from self-consciousness to unity consciousness. So let me explain that a bit. Then I go back to this problems and possibilities shift. So now I look at the problems as well myself. So if we look at the crisis in our world and we ask ourselves, okay, what's going wrong there, what's happening? My analysis, stated affirmatively, is no. We can serve each other, our planet, and the future much more than we do now. So, in other words, what I say is that all the crises that we experience today, in fact, are a result of fact we just don't take each other's concerns into account. And that's all. And that's like being self-conscious. And when you become unity conscious, then you are going to take care of the others. But then an important question comes up, like, but I mean, are people going to do that? I mean, people want to be free. So we need a good definition of freedom. This is my definition of freedom. So, well, the current paradigm is that freedom is a right. And my statement is that freedom is like right of way. It's a duty. Namely the duty to take care of us. And us is me and you, and that what makes us more than just being me and you. So when we make the shift, then in the old paradigm, freedom, my freedom started where your freedom ended. In this new paradigm, freedom is viral. So the more free I am, the more free you can be. That's the idea. Okay, so if we use that freedom, will we have like abundance on this planet? I mean, there is scarcity, isn't there? So then we listen to Gandhi, who said this world has enough for everybody's needs, but not for everybody's greed. And there's scientific support for that, huh? Okay, there's enough for everybody, but do we want that? And that was Jesus who said there is more happiness in giving than in receiving. So that one was did as well. And how to operationalize that? Louis Blanc did that in 1851 already. In my formulation is I do what I can and I take what I need. Instead, and then I look back at this framework that we have. A framework over here, I think. Yeah. Framework. So people from a self-consciousness point of view, they answer the question: who does what and who takes what? With I take as much as possible and I do the least. Whereas when you are unity conscious, you say, hey, okay, I take what I need and I do what we need, and then that is equivalent to what I can. So that's the Blanc principle, in fact, Louis Blanc. Okay, so now we come to some more technical things. So if we do that, in our current economic life, when two people are interacting, each of the actors, they take this one balance as their goal. But there should be a balance between what they do and what they take. I give you something, I want something back. Right? My statement is in the new economy where people are unity conscious, they take this one balance breaks up in two balances. Namely, I do what we need and I take what I need. That's the Louis Blanc principle. Huh? So this is so it's Louis Blanc principle, but then in terms of balances. So like I said, we are moving from what's in it for me to what's in it for us. That's the main shift, in fact. And if we do that, then a paradigm of swapping, like I give you and then I give something, get something back, is replaced by sharing. If you need something, I can give that to you because I might have that. And whenever I need something, I'm pretty sure that somebody else is going to give me what I need. But that's a trust, matter of trust, obviously. This also implies that, like we said just as now, that the current scarcity is a result of our behavior. So if we start behaving differently, then scarcity evolves into abundance. And when we have that shift, then there's no need to speak about owners, but we do have to speak about stewards. I mean, my car is, I'm a steward of my car. You can use it, but somebody has to see to it that like the tax has been paid for, and the insurance, and it's clean, and the gas, etc. This also means that our current way of interacting changes from competition into cooperation. And very interesting is to see that our current economic system is like a survival. It's a rat race, a race to the bottom or whatever. You have to survive. But if we work together, there's no survival anymore. So then we come to blossom, or we should say it's an awareness process. So for me, the economic process in the new economy is an awareness process. We help each other, we live together to become aware of what we need and what we can add. So in this economy, in our current economy, we've got entrepreneurs, and they ask the question, how can I make money out of this? So how will they evolve into a new economy? And I think they will become servants that asks, what can I add? And this is not new. I mean, all these ideas are not new. I mean, there are like books about serving leadership, etc. It's nothing very new. Okay, this is rather new. What I'm now going to tell, I've never read it anywhere else. What is going to happen in my view, and I come back to this framework once more to explain this. That's it here, I think. Yeah, this framework here. So, what we need to do, we have two questions: who does what and who takes what. So, both questions have two aspects. There's like a technical aspect, I mean, what is possible? And there's like a social aspect. Do we trust that if I give you something that when we need that you will help us out as well? And these two parts, these two functionalities is what you have to organize in order to make an economy run. So there are two functionalities. The first one is coordination of tasks. The second one is the canalization of trust. So my statement is that in order to let an economy function, you need these two functionalities: coordination and trust. Now I go back to our current economic system. We use money for both functionalities. Namely, if I know the price of something, then I can decide to either use it or not. So then I coordinate. And if I trade with you, then I don't trust you, but I trust the value of the money that you give me. So both functionalities, both the coordination and the trust, are realized using money. And my statement is that in a new economy, there will be two separate constructs: one for coordination of tasks, and the other for canalization of trust. And in fact, these systems are emerging right now, but they're very small. It's like a sequoia tree that's this small. Only a botanic expert can see that this small thing is actually going to be a sequoia tree. These systems are that large. It takes like somebody who knows what to look for to see that they are there. What's happening? Okay, so what happens when we move from the utopian situation to a current situation is that these two functionalities, they collapse into one system. And there are two more things. There are a few more like that. So labor, for example, is also a collapse of production and allocation. In our current economy, we use labor both for production and for allocation. You're only allowed to have something if you've got a job to make it. So that's what we do with labor in our current economy, but in our new economy, we will separate these two. That's my understanding. So, as a corollary, in our current economy, labor is a goal, whereas, as far as I should say, it should be a means. And as labor is a goal in order for the allocation, that's why jobs are scarce. But you can also say that there's an abundance of labor. But that's the new economy, just view it that way. So what happens here with the notion of value is very interesting. This is the first slide I'm going to talk about value. It was Marx who said in chapter 1 of Das Kapital, where he made a distinction between Gebrauchswert and Tauschwert, between exchange value and use value. And what's happening is that whereas we in the current economy we use exclusively exchange value, in our new economy we will start using use value. So then the notion of profit, as we know today, as far as I can see, it becomes obsolete. We don't need it anymore. And the very interesting thing is that our current economy hosts an enormous amount of transaction costs. Let me tell you something about that, because not everybody's familiar with this notion. So for example, in our country we have 3 networks for mobile phones. But as a society, we only need 1. So the fact that we operate 3 of these things, parallel, redundant, means that we have much more costs than necessary. So it's that kind of cost that our economy is like a real burden. There's this Jacques Fresco, he estimates that 95% of our economy is in fact transaction costs. Well, the first rough estimate about telecom is like 66%. But then we didn't take into account that all these different companies are making telephone plans and bundles for SMS and whatever. If you just have one network that functions, you don't need all these people. You don't need all these jobs. You can just get rid of it. So in our new economy, the transaction cost will go to 0. And this, by the way, is an enormous opportunity for the new economy to grow. Just to give some idea about information in this setting, in our current economy, information needs to be scarce because then it acquires exchange value. But in a new economy, we will share economy because we will share information, because the more we share the information, the more use value it will generate. So then my last 2 slides, just to give you an idea. Old economy, that's Airbnb. New economy, that's Couchsurfing. And then I stop with a corollary, namely, our current economy is like a knife. You can cut up bread with a knife, but you can also kill somebody with it. And the thing is that if for this new economy, this knife is not very useful, because in our new economy we're not going to cut bread, but we're going to drive screws. So we need a completely different tool. So in a new economy, it's like a screwdriver. You can drive screws with that, but mind you, you can still kill somebody with it. It's not the tool, it's the man. Thank you very much.
Yay, and the crowd goes wild. Here at the Synergy Hub 1.0 in Rotterdam.
Okay.